Good morning and welcome to a fresh edition of DDM Morning Show. I am Tosh Raphael alongside my co-host Ibrahim Umawasi. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning, our audience.
All right, today is Tuesday and here are the stories we have for you. The growing unrest, sit-at-home protests and armed attacks have unsettled the Southeast, sparking debates on the roots and responsibilities behind the agitation and violence. Then, in a landmark decision, Nigeria's Electoral Commission has invalidated the Abure-led Labour Party faction, igniting debate and legal ramifications ahead of upcoming elections. And finally, the Tigress, Nigeria's women's basketball team, has made history by winning their 5th consecutive African championship, fueling national pride and global recognition. So these are the things we are going to explore on today's episode of DDM Morning Show. All right, first topic, first story, the persistent wave of insecurity and separatist agitation in Nigeria's southeast has reached alarming levels, with a series of brutal attacks in July and August 2025, underscoring the volatility of the region. Recent high-profile incidents include the mass killing of civilians in Arondi Zobo, Imo State, the abduction and murder of a prominent fish farmer in Oka, Anambra State, and the targeted slaying of police officers attached to a state lawmaker in Imo State. Now, authorities and analysts remain divided over the underlying causes and principal culprits as the crisis deepens and the civilian population bears the brunt. On July the 25th, gunmen dressed in military attire stormed 3 villages in Arondi Zogo, Idato North Local Government Area, Imo State, killing at least 17 people in cold blood. Eyewitness accounts and police confirmations suggest the attackers, suspected to be affiliated with the band Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, and its paramilitary wing, Eastern Security Network, fired indiscriminately at villagers without making any attempt at robbery. Now, the Imo State Police called the attack barbaric and totally unacceptable, pledging a large-scale operation to apprehend the perpetrators. Now, barely a week later, Anambra State was rocked by the abduction and subsequent killing of Ifesina Chionyekere, fondly called Fish Magnet. On July 27, 2025, this happened. Armed men reportedly shot him at his Oka residence, took him hostage, and later dumped his body after a ransom was allegedly paid. The police, condemning the crime as a targeted attack, have intensified their search for the assailants. Meanwhile, most recently on August the 3rd, 2 police officers assigned to a lawmaker in Imo State were ambushed and killed along the Okigwe axis. Official police communications indicated that the attack was again linked to suspected ESN/IPOB militants. The lawmaker's vehicle had broken down, giving the assailants an opportunity to strike. The officers' rifles were stolen, and the lawmaker's whereabouts initially remained unknown. Now, this is a situation in the southeast Nigeria. Every region has its peculiar insecurity. Every region is destabilized by insecurity, but each region has a particular cause to that insecurity. In the Northeast, we have a terrorist group, even though that every one of them is generally described as terrorism. In the Northeast, we have Boko Haram. In the Northwest, we have banditry. In the North Central, they have been grappling with the menace of the headsmen. Then we have, cult clashes in the Southwest. So here in the Southeast, there is a peculiar problem. Accusation and counter-accusations. But let us not forget that these attacks are part of a broader pattern that includes frequent assaults on security forces, abductions, assassinations, arson, and coordinated enforcement of illegal sit-at-home orders that cripple the region's economic and social activity. Now, the root cause of Southeast insecurity lie at the intersection of separatist agitation, state repression, organized crime, local grievances, and state failures. IPOB, we all know, prescribed in 2017, is sit-at-home orders, a symbolic protest to demand the release of a leader, Nnamdi Kanu, have morphed into enforced shutdowns, underpinned by threats and violence meted out by armed groups, sometimes called unknown gunmen. Now, these non-state actors have attacked civilians, security personnel, public officials, and state infrastructure, and this has deepened the security crisis. Now, let me give you a bit of statistics so that you know the level of infamy in the Southeast. According to SB Morgan Intelligence, SB Morgan is a leading, a top, data analytics firm in Nigeria and in West Africa. Now, its role is to gather data related to economy, security, and in every wise. So it is a credible source of information. According to SB Morgan Intelligence, the sit-at-home crisis since 2021 has caused at least 776 deaths and trillions of naira in economic loss, with Imo and Anambra states among the worst affected. Now, when it says at least 776, it means that it is more than that. It could be 1,000, it could be hundreds of thousands of deaths, but this is the list that we can get now. So there are claims and counterclaims, of course, on the culpability. While security agencies consistently blame IPOB for a majority of violent incidents, including the recent killings, IPOB, on the other hand, maintains its innocence in several attacks. Instead blaming state agents or criminal elements seeking to exploit the chaos. But don't forget that in 2020, when the indigenous people of Biafra created the Eastern Security Network, the aim of that establishment was to drive away or defend local communities from the Fulani herders' attacks. But the real question, which has been continued to be asked by concerned persons, is, since the creation of the ESN, has security improved in the Southeast, or has it worsened? What has been the cause of the increase in attacks on security formations, attacks on innocent civilians, assassinations, abductions for ransom? I mean, what happened recently in Imo State, around Zob, where 17 people at least were killed and murdered? Can you call that armed robbery? No, that was a deliberate act of terrorism, because the armed attackers, they did not steal anything. They just came to maim and kill, and then they took to their heels afterwards. So that was terrorism. What is the cause of all these things? And why has our security agencies not been able to solve this problem? So widespread unemployment, anger over political exclusion, stalled injustice for violent state crackdowns, and the proliferation of small arms contribute to a fertile ground for criminal and separatist networks. The weakening of police and local government capacity compounds the region's vulnerability, leaving communities exposed and fearful. So now, what is implication? What is implication of all these things? In terms of humanitarian aspect, security forces and civilians targeted alike, the sense of fear is pervasive. People can no longer go, walk the streets, even at night, even during the day. They are afraid, especially on Mondays. We all hear the recent revelation by Okulora, the philanthropist and social media activist. He made a revelation how he was traveling along Umuaka in Imo State, and he was kidnapped by the unknown gunmen, was taken to their camp, and he saw hundreds of people there. And according to him, more than 100 people he saw there, they all spoke Igbo. They all are Igbo people. Now he said that they were, each of them held guns, his own guns. Now the problem and the question to ask yourself is, why has this propaganda continued to thrive in the Southeast? This is something that stakeholders, the governments of the Southeast, and even the leaders of separatist agitation, this is what they should come together to, talk about. Come together around the table, talk about it, so that people can go out without fear of any attacks by the unknown government. All right, Mr. Ibrahim, do you have any, because this, even though this borders on the Southeast insecurity, it has a broader implication on the whole Nigerian, because if the Southeast is affected, the Southeast has been known as the economic hub, some kind of Nigeria. And if the Southeast economy is affected, then the economy of the whole country is also affected. So what do you think is the cause of the insecurity in the Southeast? Do you think it is the separatist agitation, or do you think it is the failure of government in power? What is your own perspective of the insecurity in the Southeast?
All right, thank you, Mr. Tejiko. As you rightly said, the issue of insecurity is not only peculiar to southeastern part of Nigeria, and if you're going to look at it, there are some similarities between the insecurity with the ones happening in other part of the country. And I honestly believe that government is an entity. Without every one of us, it becomes an empty thing. So we need to work in collaboration towards building a stronger government. So it's quite sad that Southeastern Nigeria generally has been suffering from this endless cycle of insecurity, endless cycle of violence. And as you rightly highlighted, it is clear that there is something more deeper than just the agitation or the failure of government. And we can clearly see in the systemic marginalization of the region, and also the economic neglects and political marginalization. It is true that no Nigerian is greater than any other Nigerian. And until we accept that, we cannot have a peaceful society, because a just society is the only society that produces peace. So it's quite sad, and that's, we are just having these tragic news, tragic headlines every day, northeast to southeast, northwest to southwest, north central to south-south. It is endless. And the government have failed us clearly. It is a failure of the government to decisively and constructively fix the system, find the cause of the problem, and make sure that they deal with the root cause of the problem. They are rather more concerned about their own seat of power. Once they finish with their election, they are thinking about the next election rather than the next generation. It is so sad. Notwithstanding, there is light at the end of the tunnel. If we can find leaders, if Nigerians will unanimously chart a common front to vote a leader based on competence, capacity, and character, not his identity and the name he bears. So I think we stand a chance of fixing this jeopardy and tragedy that is going on in our society. But up to now, Nigerians are still, our political system is still not yet matured to that level. We still see people from the lenses of their identity. We weaponize those identities, and even our activists sometimes sad, so sad, they promote this propaganda that Nigeria is divided on religious, political, regional, or tribal lines. While in reality, the real divide in Nigeria is between the elites and the masses. And the elites will try as much as they could to find a justification for their propaganda. And the justification is simple. If a southern poor man in the south kill a poor man in the north, they will tell the northerners that they hate you. You see, this is a visual manifestation of that. And you have no other option than to accept it. But if the masses understands that our problem is in Abuja, they bear our name, they are using us, they are demagogues. They don't care about our life. They are playing us like pounds in a chess game. Our life does not matter to them. It is then and only then, because I believe both the poor and the vulnerable in both regions share the same circumstance of deprivation and manipulation by elites in both regions. So going by that fact, I believe, I only hope that Nigerian masses will understand that we have a common enemy and we forge a common front to make sure that we defeat this enemy because they have taken us hostage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Now, the situation in the Southeast is alarming. It is alarming because the people are meant to believe what is false. Propaganda is very powerful. A rebel group can use propaganda to achieve 99% of its goals, even before it starts to, impose or employ weapons. Propaganda can solve a lot of problems that weapons cannot even do. Now, the incident that happened in Arondi recently in Imo State, gunmen stormed the place, gunmen in military uniforms. And these people were believed to be Fulanese. But after the incident, a clip emerged, a voice note, where the owner of that voice note is a popular rebel, separatist rebel. And he is a top commander of the Autopilot. Autopilot is a breakaway faction of indigenous people of Biafra. And it has been led by Simon Eba, based in Finland. So he was telling his minions, his boys, that he was giving them directions on where to attack in Imo State. And then he said that he was going to provide them with military uniforms, and he asked them to, speak and communicate communicate in Hausa and Fulani in the course of that attack, so that people would think that the men or the gunmen were Fulanese. And after doing that, they would start, saying or propagating or preaching that Fulanese have been responsible or were responsible for the attack. Meanwhile, they are the ones, attacking their own people and blaming it on the Fulanese. So this propaganda is very dangerous. It's very dangerous to used by rebel groups, both governments and rebel groups, to destroy the minds of the people. So let me ask a question to due process. The insecurity in the Southeast, of course, it is a microcosm of the larger insecurity in Nigeria. So you cannot talk about insecurity in the Southeast in Nigeria without talking about the insecurity, in various regions. Do you think it is partially the blame of separatist agitation, or what truly is the root cause and also the immediate cause of insecurity?
All right, good morning, viewers out there. It's a pleasure to be here on the morning show, DDM. And the situation in the Southeast is something that is not new. If you travel across the length and breadth of the Eastern roads, you will understand better. As far as I'm concerned, the Southeast has been over-militarized, over-policed, and over-sanctioned. When you travel across the road, barely you travel on the federal roads of the southeastern states, barely you travel for like, let's say, 2 kilometers without meeting a checkpoint. From Benue to Enugu, down across the entire southeastern states, even south-south, you see presence of police, presence of military checkpoints all across. What are they checking? They are busy escorting the motorists, collecting money from food vendors, collecting money from logistic companies, collecting money from trailers. This is not them saying, it's what I have undergone. I've seen the atrocities committed by these men on the federal highway. When I was into food vendor, food logistics, all the way from Benue to Lagos, I saw it live and direct. The people of the Southeast are being over-militarized. Personally, I see no reason why a region that is not at war should be monitored in that regard. And this gun that is playing into the hands of the non-state actors can be traced to this military presence across the roads, because there are allegations that at night these same people turn out to be violent against passengers, turn out to rob them, dispossess them of their belongings and all that. These are allegations. But what I can tell is that these guys are just collecting bribes on the federal highway from these motorists, from these food vendors, from the trailers and all that. They are busy extorting massively, ranging from 500 to 1,000 to 2,000, 5,000 and above. So these are some of the activities that are going on unreported or underreported. Coming to the unknown government situation in the Southeast, again, there is an unwritten agenda against the Southeastern region, where the governments of the day, especially the APC-led administration, they've tried at all costs to suppress the economic willpower of the Southeastern region, because this is the people that have the mindset of production. Believe me, whatever you have in the market today, just give the Southeastern region the space of a month or two, they are going to replicate something similar to that. They have this economic prowess to be able to produce something and liberate their people. Ranging from the background of the civil war that they are coming from, they are able to survive and achieve economic liberation compared to other regions. So the government have always tried to target that region in order to suppress the people from achieving economic liberation. And these are some of the reasons that are responsible why the Southeastern region has been over-militarized. Then, since they could not achieve that, guns, weapons are now playing their way into non-state actors just to continue to destabilize the Southeastern region. We have a government in place, and yet every Monday there is a sit at home, you know, although not declared by the government, but tolerated by the government. So these are some of the things that I can rightly point out to, that the Southeastern region has been just changed in the scheme of things. They never got anything. There are families in the Southeastern region that no family is having anything to do with any federal government appointment. Put me anywhere. If you count 10 homes in the Southeastern region, hardly will you find 2 homes out of 10 that have a family or a sibling or any relation in the federal government appointment payroll. Yet they're able to survive. Yet they're able to thrive through businesses. So that businesses that they have been surviving is the target. Remember what happened recently at the Onitsha market, where the traders have been labeled as fake drug producers. And NAFDAC went ahead to levy them, to shut down their businesses for months, and nothing really happened. So the Southeastern region is a victim of the Nigerian situation. So whatever is still playing out, be it Samanepa, be it unknown government, they are all having the back channel link to some of these government agencies that never want the Southeast to liberate. So should the Southeastern region achieve full peace, imagine an entire whole day out of the 7 days get wasted, everybody sit at home. That is an economic sabotage. And I bet you the government is comprising. The police, the military, they all have hand in all everything that is happening in the Southeastern region. If the government is serious and they want to achieve wholesome peace for the entire country, it's achievable. They can do it in a space of a week. If the government of the day say no, we cannot continue like this, that's the end of it. Government is so powerful that it can achieve anything she wants to achieve. At the same time, government can frustrate whatever any region or individuals want to achieve for their community or for the development of their country. So that is what is playing out in the Southeast. Thank you.
Do you think that the separatist group has a blame in this insecurity? And again, you said that the government has not been making any effort to stop the sit-at-home protest, but I don't think that is the picture here, because Anambra State government under the leadership of Governor Chukwuma Soludo has several times said or ordered the end to the sit-at-home protest. But because of the fear of the unknown, people have not been abiding by that on Mondays.
Yes.
He has declared that.
The fear is psychological. It has been created. People have the fear that when you go out, you get attacked. Even when Nnamdi Kanu has made it clear that no more sit at home. But people still have that fear. And one thing you look at is what led to the declaration of the sit at home. Is it not the obvious neglect of the government? The people of the Southeast have been marginalized, have been neglected. Remember what happened in the 2023 general election? Their only hope of achieving presidency was thwarted, and the country moves on. So it is the treatment they get from the federal government that make them to come up with this separatist ideology. They want to separate so that they can achieve whatever they want to achieve that they are being denied in the Nigerian scheme of things. So that's the reason for the agitation, nothing more. Should the Nigerian state be able to take grant the Nigerian citizens the right of place where they can thrive economically and achieve whatever dream they want. But the Southeastern region will not be talking about separating from Nigeria. But because the federal government have failed, now look at who want to identify with the government. You can see what happening. Kemi Badna has even, dissociated herself for whatever has to do with Nigeria. That is also a separatist ideology. So it should not be labeled on the Igbos alone. There are many tribes, many regions in this country that also want to separate because things are not working out well.
All right, I've gotten your point. But the fact still remains that the current insecurity cannot be totally be attributed to the government. Of course, there is genuine concern about marginalization, but that is not a justification to use propaganda and violence against your own people. There are, non-violent ways of, agitation. Instead of going about it violently and with terror, it won't help us at all in the Southeast. It can never help us. So, as by the way, let's move over to, all right, do you have anything to say?
Whatever form of insecurity we are having in Nigeria is all the same. What causes it is the government, the lack of political will to take the people out of poverty. You deny them their economic life. You make life very difficult for them. So many people who don't have the patience to wait and be hopeful will go into criminality. And how do they get this gun they are using? All the ammunition they are using is through the insecurity architecture. It's not falling from above. So these are some of the things I'm talking about.
But some of these guns were looted during the NSAS movement in 2020. There are some of these guns used by this unknown government to attack civilians and security formations were looted during the 2020 NSAS. Do you agree with that? And not necessarily the entire.
Is it the 2020 NSAS that provided the Fulanis, the guns they are using all across the country?
No, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying some.
I'm giving that as an instance. Remember, there are allegations that the militias have been trained in national states. Went ahead to attack the people of, these people that were slaughtered in their community, Yelwata community. So the government, should they be interested in ending all forms of insecurity today, they will achieve it. But they are not ready. They are not interested either. That is where the whole thing lies. If they are interested, how can you be a president of a country where there are many ungoverned spaces in your country, high-level insecurity, high-level terrorism taking place, and all you are interested is politics? They politicize everything. When was the last time the people of the Nigerian community were invited to Aso Rock to have a discussion, a round table around how to end insecurity? Just last week, they paraded these social media activists, Twitter boys, just to go about to energize their propaganda machine. They invited them to Aso Rock. When was the last time kids across the community were invited on how to end insecurity in Nigeria? These are the things I'm talking about. The government is not interested. So the whole fault, whether good or bad, lies with the government.
All right. All right, Mr. Due Process, I honestly share in most of your sentiments. From the viewpoint of injustice, marginalization, and a lot of things. Clearly, these factors will trigger unrest in every region in the world. But I also believe in what Mr. Tochukwu Raphael is trying to put in place. The reality is, the first stage towards solving a problem is accepting that there is one. So once we channel everything to the government, we are not ready to solve our problem. It is not always that it's the government, the blame should be channeled to the government. Yes, they messed up the country. It is true that everything that is going on in this country, most especially in the Southeast, the trigger is the systemic marginalization. It is the oppression. It is everything, the system that has consistently failed the people. That's the reason why they have the justification to be carrying guns. But let's call a spade a spade. Most of these unknown gunmen, they are destroying the region, not even the government. They are destroying their own people, killing their own people, and worse, trying to fuel hatred between the Easterners, probably with the Northerners. Clearly, based on the example he cited of that propaganda that they are training people to speak in Hausa and Fulani language and carry out an attack, is clearly a dangerous move to shape the image of the terrorism taking place, that these are the problem. The Northerners are always our problem. And I have problem with that, maybe because I was born and brought up in Plateau State, where I know the danger of stigmatization. I know the danger of stereotypes. I know the danger of generalization. You will be an innocent person, but because people are seeing you as the problem, you will fall victim while you are completely innocent. So let me give you an example, and I just keep asking myself, haven't we learned yet Nigeria? What was the cause of the darkest part of our history? Was this stereotype, that stigmatization, that the Igbos were the problem who killed the leaders of the North and the West. So because of that, in the North, there was pogrom, killing Igbos, sending them helter-skelter because of what someone decided to do in the military. So it led to the Nigerian Civil War. And after the Nigerian Civil War, all the atrocities that had unfolded during the Nigerian Civil War, still we did not learn from all of that. We will still say Fulani are the problem. Believe me, the vast majority of Fulani people are not terrorists. Yes, most of the people that are carrying guns and doing the terrorism are Fulanis, most especially in northern part of Nigeria, but they just take less than 5% of the Fulani population. And if you stigmatize it, people will have that stigma that the Fulanis are the problem. And every Fulani you see around is the problem. And there is a justification to kill him. And we have seen it time and again in the history of the world, clearly, when the Jews were killed in Europe. What was the problem? The Jews were the problem. And everywhere you see a Jew, he's a target. So that stereotype is what I don't like. And the propaganda, most of the time, propaganda is evil because it's just aimed to mislead people towards doing something that will help some people achieve their own political goals. So every evil should be called with the name evil. That's my stand, because I fall under this old school of thought that I am for truths wherever it comes from, and I'm for justice, whether it did not favor me. Thank you very much.
Yes, I agree.
Wonderful. Okay. Due process, do you have any response to that?
Yes, I agree. Stigmatization is something, and generalization is something else that often creates a bad picture of the entire people, even those that are innocent, and it is a fact. So I agree with him in that regard. But again, I've always got my comments on the government. Some of you underrate this APC-led administration. What is keeping them in power is propaganda. So they will never stop. Even if it takes Spain and Igbo man to create a propaganda in the Southeast, they do that. So forget, you may be seeing what you are seeing in the outside is different from what is happening in the inside. Some of these guys are creating this trouble. They have links to the government. You will never imagine that. I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move over to our next story. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has formally invalidated the jury's Abure-led Labour Party faction, excluding all its submitted candidates from the upcoming August 16, 2025 by-elections and the Federal Capital Territory Council polls. This decisive regulatory move follows an April 4, 2025 Supreme Court judgment and internal party disputes, and is expected to reshape the opposition landscape ahead of key electoral contests. Between the 2nd and the 3rd August 2025, INEC published the final candidate list for the August by-elections, pointedly omitting all names submitted by the Abure-led LP National Working Committee. Only candidates from the rival Senator Nendadi Usman faction were listed, reflecting judicial and regulatory recognition of our leadership as the party's authentic chairperson. According to INEC, none of the Abure-led faction's primaries or candidates' elections were monitored by its officials, therefore violating a basic requirement under Nigeria's Electoral Act and the 2022 constitutional amendments for party nominations. INEC's stance is anchored on the Supreme Court's April 4th ruling, which declared Abure's continued tenure as national chairman illegal and clarified that issues around party leadership are considered internal party matters, not for courts to adjudicate on the merits. The court upheld that only decisions reached through recognized party organs and properly monitored processes are valid for elections. The disqualification of the Abure-led candidates and the validation of the Usman-led faction have drawn fierce criticism from Abure's loyalists who labeled the INEC action unlawful and a violation of party independence. Conversely, Usman's camp sees it as a needed enforcement of law and party constitution, commending INEC for upholding the Supreme Court's directive and maintaining electoral integrity. Now, this is a win. Some would say it is a welcome development for Peter Obi's political ambition, because many people have been saying, oh, the problem, the leadership crisis in the Labour Party is an impediment to Peter Obi's move to become the president of Nigeria. But the recent event has shown that there is a kind of respite in that regard. Okay, let me start with you, due process. What's your take on this recent development?
Yes, it's a welcome development, and we commend INEC, but then it shouldn't have taken this long for INEC to take a stand. Remember, the Supreme Court judgment invalidates the tenure of Abure-led end of this seat, and one expects that at most a week should have been enough to clear the air. But as I speak to you, Abure is still there on the INEC server as the LP national chairman, and all other executives are there. So I don't know if it will take forever for INEC to effect these changes and clear the air. For crying out loud, the leadership of the party, the stakeholders, they will come together in a convention that was monitored by INEC. And it's expected that INEC should have effect these changes by now by putting another Usman-led NWC members uploaded on their websites. This will clear a lot of doubts. And by now, look at the candidates, they spend a lot of money trying to aspire under an illegitimate platform, under Abure that have no local standing. So that's cost a lot of fortune, and I will advise that the INEC do the right thing by clearing the air. There is no gain saying that when you do the right thing, your conscience will be free and clear. INEC should remain non-partisan, trying to play the role of opposition as an independent umpire is rightly not the best way to go for a democracy that is willing to stabilize. INEC should not see herself trying to build a game plan of Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led APC, trying to have a single party system for a country like Nigeria, where there are diverse regions, diverse ethnic groups, diverse ethnic nationalities, different viewpoints. We cannot all be bundled into one single political party. We want a multi-party system where people can have opportunity to aspire for their political aspiration. As a matter of fact, INEC should even look forward to adding independent candidacy, making a proposal to the National Assembly We heard about the constitutional amendment process that is going on. We need that. Let there be room for independent candidacy, and so that people can have freedom of choice to make as candidates and as voters. We should have multiple choice to draw from. So the LP matter should be brought to rest finally by INEC making that conclusive aspect of it, by taking down the Barrister Julius Aburi-led NWC from her website and uploading the Nenadi-led NWC on their website, so that this will now go proper by going away of congresses that will culminate into a national convention to put in place the appropriate leadership for the party. So I congratulate Nenadi Usman for the victory that she has achieved. Candidates who have been accepted as the authentic leader, authentic national chairperson interim of the Labour Party.
But why, let me ask, why is there so much conflict, in political parties these days? Is it attributable to the failures of democracy? Because if we have an autocratic system of government, there is a clear, chain of command and order coming from a direct one source. But in a democracy, it is a different thing. You have a coordinates, different power blocks. You don't have one person. And that is why the Abure-led faction is saying that INEC has done wrong by, intruding in the affairs of the party, when the Supreme Court has noted that the party affairs is concerned with the party alone, and nobody, not INEC, not the National Assembly, no other authority should intrude or interfere. So do you think it is a failure of democratic principles, or do you think it is power-hungry, sensations, or that feeling of, I want to be this, I want to be that? What do you think is responsible for this conflict?
It's all centered on greed. The Nigerian politicians, the party politicians that you see, their greed is unimaginable. And that is the reason why there is often crisis in the party. It is expected that when your tenure elapses, 4-year tenure, you should respect that constitution and step aside, or adequately prepare the ground for for congresses that is open and transparent, that will culminate into a national convention and you'll be celebrated. Even if you want to aspire, you are free to do that. But in a situation where you just go about a quiet, what you call a convention that can best be described as the gathering of Aburi-led supporters, and you call it a national convention for a national party as Labour Party is unacceptable. Holding a national convention in a hotel room at Imo State now, Imo State, I think, is unacceptable. A national convention should be held at least either in Lagos, in Abuja, or in Lagos. These are the prominent areas where you can hold an open national convention where will last a national admiration.
Thank you very much. Ibrahim, do you have any comments on it?
Mr. Tochukwu Raphael, I don't want to talk from a political lens. Just want to applaud INEC for what they did, and for me, it's long overdue. The decision to invalidate the Aburi-led Labour Party leadership should not be seen as an attack on the party, but as a bold and necessary action to uphold the principle of internal democracy and the rule of law within our political system. You have to understand that political parties are not personal. They are institutions that must operate within the confines of their constitutions and the electoral acts. And clearly, the Abure-led faction have violated the constitution of the Labour Party. So it is long overdue. So as rightly Mr. Due process highlighted, they should have done it before even now, because the court has ordered them to remove him, I think, since around which month? 3 months ago. So as the electoral umpire, I expected that they will carry out the task assigned by the court since that time. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about our last topic. Nigeria's national women's basketball team, the Tigress, has made history by clinching their 5th consecutive African Women's Afro Basket Championship title in 2025, marking their 7th overall championship win. The tournament, held from July 26th to August 3rd, 2025 in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, saw Nigeria defeat Mali 78-64 in the final, solidifying their dominance in African women's basketball. Now, this win also marks an unbeaten streak for Nigeria, achieving their 29th consecutive victory in the competition since 2015, a testament to the country's sustained excellence in the sport. Coach Rena Wakama, the first female head coach to lead the team to such heights, was widely praised for her calm leadership and strategic acumen throughout the tournament. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu lauded the Tigress immediately after their victory, praising the team's discipline, focus, and team spirit. He celebrated their achievement as a source of national pride and inspiration, recognizing their role in uplifting Nigerian sports on the global stage. Mr. Due Process, recently we celebrated Nigerian Super Falcons, the female Super Falcons, and now in the basketball field, we are clinching victory again. How do you feel about it?
Yes, it's a thing to celebrate. It's a thing of joy. We are happy. The national teams are doing Nigerians proud, are lifting the flag of the country high and higher, starting with the Super Falcon. Now we are having the Tigress who have done it. I would say a huge congratulations to them. One thing I want the federal government to look at is not just waiting on when victory is achieved before celebrating. Some of these girls, some of these players, they go through very difficult terrain to achieve it to the national feats. If you look at the combination of these players, they are made up of people from different parts of the country, not necessarily based on ethnicity or religion for their selection, but based on their capacity. And that is why they're able to go far in the competition and achieve results. So for the government, I think the take-home lesson is for them to embrace capacity in the appointments of leadership positions. They should embrace capacity, competency over tribal and religious affiliation. That is just one lesson I wanted to take on. Then two, in aspect of support, providing them all the financial aids and everything that they deserve, it should not just end in when players win. There are some of these players that are injured, they are down over the years, there is no treatment. Now, ask me today if there is a proper medical attention for these young players. I doubt. Some of them end up facing life-threatening injuries without the government intervention, or some of the allocations that are meant to cater for their needs, for their welfare. And there should be even retirement plans for players because they cannot play forever. So the government should look at all these things and make a policy that will be lasting. We want our players to be committed to the national teams, and the roadmap to national teams should also be clear. There should be investment on local football teams so that we can have better breeds to represent Nigeria in the long run. So that is my suggestion. And there is a lot to make from sports. The government should not only look at taxation as the only means to stifle the citizens and make money to run the government. If the government can invest on sports in each state, let there be training center, recruitment center, scouting center, to scout young raw talents. In the next 2-3 years, you see them do wonders in the global stage. That is one thing I want the government, the sports minister, to look into. Thank you.
Wonderful commentary. Mr. Ibrahim.
All right, Mr. Tochigurafel. Nigeria's 5th AfroBaskets championship title is more than just a sporting victory for Nigeria. It is indeed a powerful symbol of our nation's resilience and untapped potential. At a time when the national challenges often dominate the headlines, we recently talked about the insecurity in the southeast, north central, southwest, insecurity everywhere, tragic stories. The triumph of the women basketball team serve as a unifying force, reminding us all of what is possible when talent, discipline, and determination are nurtured. This win is a bold statement to the continent and the world that Nigerian women are not just participating, they are dominating. It is also a call to action for our government and private sectors to invest more in women's sports, because I believe that the women are doing better than men in Nigeria. They just, our women won the African, in football, African Cup of the Women Cup of Nations, and now they won the basketball version. So shout outs to them. In every bounce of the ball and every cheer from the crowd, this victory rekindled national pride and proves that in sports, as in every sector, Nigeria can and should lead. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That's all we have for you on today's episode. We appreciate your contribution and your time. DDM Morning Show comes to you every Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. Nigerian time. To join the conversation, do not hesitate to hit the like button, leave a comment, share this video, and subscribe to DDM TV. I am Tosh Raphael alongside my co-host, Ibrahim Umawasi.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.